I want to give you a few tips on how you can be more grateful for your job and give you some advice on why you should be grateful for your job. I work at a call center. Most people who work at call centers will tell you that they absolutely 100% hate their jobs. And I felt this way as well not too long ago. I've only been working for this place for about a year. And when I first started working there, I was extremely excited. I was in training for about a month. And the entire month that I was in training, every single day, I woke up early, I did my makeup, I did my hair, I was getting dressed, like super excited to be going to work. I thought that I would love this job. I was excited to have the job. For the purpose of this video, I just wanted to explain what my motivation was for getting a job. So my motivation for getting a job really had nothing to do with money. It more so just had to do with paperwork. I need pay stubs. I need taxable income, basically, because that's the only way that you can buy property. If you have no taxable income, you can't buy property unless you're buying it cash, of course, but I'm going to be getting a mortgage. So that was my reasoning for getting this job. So then I got the job. Turned out I hated the job. I hate the idea of working for somebody else. I hate the idea of somebody else telling me when I can go to sleep, when I have to wake up, what time I have to be at work, how long I have to work, when I can go on break. I don't like that. Like, I like being able to decide those things for myself. It just made me really hate not my life, but kind of like hate my life in the sense of hating my job and the fact that a large portion of my life consists of going to work. I had to do something so that I would feel less hateful towards the idea of working. So in comes the gratitude journal and how I use it to keep myself motivated to keep this job. The money does not keep me motivated. The benefits, honestly, don't even keep me motivated, even though I was excited about that at first. But what does keep me motivated is the fact that I am going to be able to buy a property and get approved for a mortgage based off of the fact I have documented taxable income. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to flip through and I'm going to find one. So one thing I wrote in my gratitude journal is I am grateful to have multiple sources of income. And then I also wrote, I'm grateful to be able to work from home because during this pandemic, we got the option to work from home. I've always wanted to work from home, and it's been difficult to find a work from home job. Usually jobs that advertise work from home turn out to be scams. I also wrote here that I am grateful to be helping people to adapt to the technological age. And so because I do tech support and a lot of our customers are elderly people or just people who are not very tech savvy in general. And so a lot of times these are people who without a company like ours, they would never be able to figure out how to use their technology. And I also wrote, I am grateful that I am getting closer and closer to reaching my 2 major goals this year. So my 2 major goals this year, and the main reason that I even have this job. So the one goal is the reason I have this job is to buy a duplex. My second major goal is to get married. Now I'm engaged Ultimately, just with bills and wanting to buy a house, being able to get married in the same year, like that's major. And so I'm really grateful to even be able to do that. But I've been writing in this for over a month now, and it's a pretty small book. So there's pages and pages of things that I'm grateful for related to my job. Like, it's not just my job, like things I'm grateful for relating to my job, the SUSU that I'm a part of, my online businesses, as well as my real estate investment company. Even though I do this gratitude journal, I still find myself getting like sort of anxious or sometimes like tired or just stressed out halfway through my workday. I work 9-hour shifts and I get 1 hour break, but it's split up into 2 30-minute breaks, and you don't get to take the break whenever you feel like you need a break. You have to take your break when you're scheduled to take a break. And so that alone is very stressful for me. And so another thing that I do, I like to meditate before work, and I also meditate on my breaks sometimes if I start to feel like too anxious. And so they're really short meditations, and I focus on gratitude, because what I've realized is that the more grateful that I feel for this job, the more grateful that I feel for everything that I'm doing in life, the more I actually want to do it, the more I feel happy while I'm doing it rather than feeling stressed out or like wishing that I had something else to do. And so basically, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about the fact that I really just had to yell at neighbors. Like, people are so inconsiderate, for real. Anyway, so so I'll do a little bit of like gratitude meditation. I'll like focus 5 minutes on gratitude, and it's not always related to work. Sometimes I'll focus on other things I'm grateful for that have nothing to do with my job, just to make myself feel in that feeling of gratitude, even if it's not directly connected to the fact that I'm at work. Feeling gratitude while at work, eventually that feeling along with the action are connected, and then I no longer feel so bad about it. But I also do grounding breaths. So this is something that I started doing a while back because I can sometimes be a bit emotional. And so what I do is I'll just take 7 breaths, very deep breaths. So I'll just demonstrate. So I'll go in through my nose and out through my mouth 7 times. All right. And so after I do my 7 grounding breaths, I feel back down to earth and ready to, you know, trudge forward doing whatever I'm doing during my day. And it also helps me to refocus my thoughts. So I just remind myself of why I do need this job. So instead of telling myself, you don't need this job, you have money saved up, you don't need this job, you're a business owner. Instead of telling myself things like that, I tell myself, you need this job because you need a pay stub when you're at the closing table. You need this job because you need tax returns that have a positive adjusted gross income on it. You need this job because you need health insurance. Like, And so I tell myself things like that, like, hey, you need this job. You want this job. Don't lose the job. Like, I get to the point where I start doing things that might get me fired, like, because I just hate being at work. Like, it gets to the point where I've done all kinds of things at work that truthfully I just had to write. I had to come back to my gratitude journal afterwards and go, hey, I am grateful that I have not gotten fired. And so truthfully, like, I just try and remind myself why I got the job in the first place, why I want to keep the job, how this job is going to benefit me in the long run. And I also remind myself of the fact that it's nice to have a steady and predictable income. I know that if I work at least 40 hours a week at this job, I can predict how much money I'm going to get paid every pay period. And it's like, I also know that, like, yeah, I have other sources of income, but the other sources of income I have are not predictable. Regardless of what's going on with your work, you should be grateful that you have a job, because we just entered a recession as a result of this pandemic that just happened and is still happening. And the fact that a lot of people were out of work, the unemployment rates skyrocketed. And for a lot of people, they were permanently displaced from their jobs. So some people were just temporarily laid off. Maybe the place of work closed temporarily because they were mandated to close while the stay-at-home order was in place. But then when they reopen, people can come back to work. But there are jobs that permanently laid people off. So that means after all is said and done and your state or city reopens, you have to go job hunting for a new job. And a lot of people do need their job. They have no sources of income outside of their job. And so truthfully, like, that's another thing. Like, I am grateful that I have multiple sources of income, including this job. And I'm also grateful that I have this job and that I've maintained employment through this pandemic. I'm grateful that when this pandemic became a pandemic, that my job offered me the opportunity to work from home rather than laying me off. I'm grateful that I have no break in my employment history due to this pandemic. I keep myself motivated by reminding myself, hey, this job is going to help you reach a very large goal that you have. Like, after you reach your goals, you can either keep this job and see where it takes you, or you can quit if you still feel that way about it. But I think that everyone, I mean, if you have a job right now and your job is paying your bills, your job is taking care of your children, if your job is allowing you to have extras or, you know, enjoy the little luxuries of life, then you should be grateful. You know, you should be grateful if through this pandemic you didn't suffer financially like some people suffered. You know, if you were able to keep up with your bills, you didn't get behind on any of your bills, you know, it's like people really don't think about stuff like that. A lot of people are so in their own heads about how much they hate their job and how they don't want to have to work for the man. And it's like, truthfully, some people have to work for the man. Like, you know, just a lack of motivation, creativity, and try hard leaves a lot of people having no other choice but to work for the man. And so it's like, instead of having this mindset, and a lot of people who have that mindset of, oh, I hate my job, I'm tired of working for the man, I can't wait till I don't have to go to work anymore. And it's like, I don't understand where those thoughts are even coming from if you don't have a business plan. Like, if you haven't started working on a business plan, how do you ever expect to not have to have a job anymore? Like, how do you ever expect to be able to quit your job? It's like, truthfully, there's no realistic plan there. So instead of being miserable, because a lot of us spend more time at work than we do at home, so instead of being miserable, be grateful. Start teaching yourself some gratitude. Start showing gratitude for every little thing you can think of to be grateful for. Like, when you wake up in the morning, like, if you feel well rested, be grateful for that. But if you had time to eat breakfast in the morning, be grateful. If you got a workout in, be grateful and give yourself a pat on the back. Like, it's like, you know, if you had time to make yourself coffee before you clocked in for work, like, be grateful. If you have enough extra money to put into a retirement plan, a savings account, investment account, into your permanent life insurance policy, if you have an extra dollar to your name, be grateful. Like, show gratitude, because that gratitude that you feel is going to completely transition you from feeling like you hate your job to feeling like you love your job. And then really, it doesn't matter whether or not you love your job. What matters is whether or not you're happy. And you cannot genuinely be happy if you spend the majority of your time doing something that you hate in a place that you hate. So it's like, you have to release that hatred. That's the moral of my story. The purpose of this video is to just let you all know that it's important that you release that hatred and learn to love your job. Learn to love your sources of income. Learn to love what it is that is taking care of you, that is making your lifestyle possible. Learn to love it, because without it, where would you be? If you would like for me to go into depth and talk a little more about some of the topics I've mentioned here, such as multiple sources of income, credit, the process of purchasing a property, then just let me know. You can either inbox me or leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. See you next time.